Hey, what is up, guys? The Strong Boys 19 here. This is going to be me answering your questions that 5 different YouTubers have asked me. I was, um, well, not really expecting, but was hoping that people would be interested enough to ask me um, any musical question, even if it's one question. But that's the way it goes. But if there are other YouTubers that didn't ask any music Q&A question from my previous video, you can type them all down below in the comments. So yes, let's just go right into this whole thing. Before I jump right into it, I'm going to try and do my best to answer some of these questions because there are some that I would not even think about having a full answer for. So, also, I haven't been feeling quite well earlier today. I've had a really bad headache. The hay fever uh, for a few days now had been a pain in the ass, but that will never stop me from making this video. No way. So I'm gonna try and let this whole thing run as smooth as I can. Don't know why I did that. Anyway, let's get started. Here we go. Uh, Greedy Selfish 97. What are your top 5 favorite Soundgarden songs? I did mention Soundgarden and Audio Slave from my tributes to Chris Cornell and Greg Allman video, but unfortunately, they are one of the bands that I rarely listen to. I only know Rusty Cage and Black Hole Sun, but I would be interested enough to listen to their material properly by buying albums like Super Unknown and their previous material and the later material, obviously, to um, to give you my proper list of my favorite Soundgarden songs. So I apologize that I didn't listen to them, that well. You know, that's just the way it goes for now. Are there any industrial metal bands you like? I actually love 2 bands that are industrial metal oriented. Fear Factory and Rammstein. Big fan of those 2 bands. If there are some that you like that I haven't heard of, let me know in the comments at the bottom of this video. What are your thoughts on Linkin Park's new album One More Light and Chester Bennington's response to criticism? Okay, I'm gonna answer the One More Light album question first. After Meteora, Linkin Park um, matured their sound and um, made themselves more different as a band. Although I have lost interest in the band after Minutes to Midnight because I wasn't really keen on the later stuff. But One More Light, I did not expect an album from a band like Linkin Park to be this totally different. I thought Minutes to Midnight was different enough, but One More Light is something else. Change can be good. Sometimes change can be bad. Well, from what millions of people think. But my opinions on One More Light, even though I didn't really want to buy the album because like I said, I've lost interest in them. I did listen to all of the sneak 30-second previews from Amazon, and oh my god, the material is just terrible. And in my opinion, some of the most forgettable, uninspired, and generic pieces of material I have ever heard from Linkin Park. And there's just no way in hell that I will be giving this album one more chance, because it'll never be um, it'll never be played through ever again. Not even from the Amazon previews. I wouldn't want to listen to the previews of that material again. And Chester Bennington's responses to criticism. Okay, I did look at some of the replies and comments from Bennington's negativity on criticism, and all I have to say is that he's just a huge, huge crybaby and a pathetic idiot that he just cannot take criticism way too seriously. Why would he be a close-minded yet rich asshole? Criticism is not a bad thing. What I do like is that people can take constructive criticism because it'll give them a lot of help and improvement to work on this or that or progress. But for musicians like Chester Bennington, who cannot take criticism, that easily, I just have no words to say. He needs growing up to do. He needs to smarten up, sort out his behavior, because from what I have read on his negative attitude, he's just, oh boy, completely stupid. Are there any recent bands out there that broke up that you wish would come back? Um, Not really, because I rarely listen to um, bands from today's modern age, era, and society. Because you know me, I am a musical guy that likes to listen to music that connects with me and has an interesting style of sound and music for my interests to check these artists or bands out. Excuse me, from previous decades ago. But I wouldn't really think of a proper answer to answer a question like that because some of my favorite bands either split up or fights or drug problems or passings or departures from bandmates or whatever. But I rarely listen to bands from, like I said, today's society nowadays. But I do respect it. But music for me had been less interesting to me and to my ears um, because previous decades ago it was more interesting for what I think. Thank you for the questions, Greedy Selfish 97. Allmediareviews.blogspot.com. Do you know slash like the band King's X? I actually have heard of the name. I do have one record from them in my vinyl collection, part one video, I believe. Um, but you'll know what King's X album I will show once you'll watch that video. But I need to check them out properly. Jazz Fusion, love Jazz Fusion. Favorite bands slash albums: Return of Forever. Um, Return of Forever. I think that's Chick Corea. Chick Corea, incredible musician, but I need to listen to that album because I've heard excellent things about it. Mahavishnu Orchestra, love Mahavishnu Orchestra. The Inner Mounting Flame is a classic, and Birds of Fire is a strong follow-up. Um, Although I need to listen to all of their later stuff. And Pat Metheny, haven't heard of Pat's material yet, so I need to get to his material. How about the Monkees and slash or Michael Nesmith? I have heard of the Monkees. I do like the Monkees. Um, but I at the moment didn't listen to their material enough. And Michael Nesmith, need to check out Michael's stuff. Thank you for the questions. allmediareviews.blogspot.com. Billy Bishop, 5 questions. Do you like the band Modeling of the Wall with Toby Driver? I think I remember that you did send me a link to one of their tracks on my Facebook. Still haven't listened to it, but bear with me and I will give you my thoughts on it. Do you think Brian Johnson will return to AC/DC? No, I do not think Brian Johnson will ever come back to AC/DC because I think at the moment Axl Rose is a full-time member of AC/DC, and I will always remember and think to myself that it is not a perfect match at all. There are some people who like Axl Rose with AC/DC. Fair play to you, but I think it's a terrible match. Um, but recently, I've heard that Brian Johnson had his hearing problem sorted out and might go back on tour, but I doubt that he'll come back to AC/DC. It just depends on Brian uh, himself if he wants to go back on tour or not. He could do whatever he wants, so that's for Brian to decide. What's your favorite Pantera album? Vulgar Display of Power. I do have it on CD, as you already know. Yep, Vulgar Display of Power. Love that album. Favorite Mastodon album? Crack the Sky. I do have it on CD as well. A 2-disc special edition. And other Mastodon albums. Do you like the band Edge of Sanity with Dan Swano? Never heard of Edge of Sanity. So I'll have to listen to them like Modeling of the Wall. AJ the Pop Punk Kid. 2 questions. Thoughts on pop punk music in general. I don't mind pop punk music. If you like that kind of music, that's fair play to you. But I rarely listen to pop punk. I do like early NoFX. I love Punk in Drublic and other fantastic albums from them like White Trash, Two Heaves and a Bean, and some of the later albums. And 90s Green Day, I think, is the best Green Day era. I just think that the later side of Green Day, after American Idiot, has gone off the rails for me. And I remember that I did review Uno back in 2012, but I haven't reviewed the other 2 from their forced trilogy of albums. Yes, that's what I think. Forced trilogy of albums that just came out of the blue. But yeah, coolest / rarest vinyl you own. Rarest, it is Premiata Foneria Marconi per un amico. This is an original Italian progressive rock album. Coolest, I cannot pick one because there are a lot of records in my collection that are just really cool to have, and that have been on my wish list for a long time. Thank you for the questions, AJ, the pop punk kid. And the last YouTuber is Mr. One Singularity, asked 15 questions. That is a lot. Do you like the new Mastodon album? I haven't heard of Emperor of Sand yet. I have heard very good things about it, but I will give it a chance and rate the album on my rateyourmusic.com account. Favorite Alice in Chains album? I only have heard of The Devil Put Dinosaurs Here and Black Gives Way to Blue. But I am very sure, and it's going to be very biased to say this, but Dirt is the most favourite and loved Alice in Chains album. Facelift is another high favourite from them, so I cannot pick a favourite from them at the moment. Favourite Stone Temple Pilots album? Haven't heard of them at all. Will you film another HMV trip with Daughter of Vampire and Thomas Rockaholic? Okay. The answer to that question is no, because the HMV trip video that I've done a few years back, it was just me hanging out with 3 different YouTubers, of Heather, Tom, and David, and if I make another HMV trip video, it's gonna be the same, and it wouldn't be more interesting. And also, David and Tom have moved on from being YouTubers, and Daughter of Vampire stopped doing a lot of album reviews because she has now changed the title from her YouTube channel to Heather Reviews. She is at the moment making videos of vlogs and TV program reviews and rants on anything that comes to her head. So, um, yeah, that's just the way it goes, unfortunately. So, no HMV trip video. I know that you like these kinds of trip videos, but I rarely do them because I just don't want each and every single one of them to be the same. Otherwise, it'll be boring for not only for me, but for the people who like to watch my videos or who have subscribed. That's why I did my trip to Liverpool video, because that is totally different, and it was really fun to make that video. Same with my Mablethorpe holiday video that I did back at last year. So that's the answer to that one. Favorite Guns N' Roses album? None of them. I used to like Guns N' Roses, but I've lost huge interest in them. And I know that there are millions of people that love GNR. Respect to them, but I don't like them anymore. And I just think that they are the most overrated band. That's what I think. Favorite Velvet Revolver album? Haven't heard all of their albums. Worst Beatles album? I would not say worst, because there is no worst Beatles album. There is a least favorite. It's the Yellow Submarine album or soundtrack. Um, it does have very nice orchestra elements, although the first side of the album has Beatles songs and the second half has the orchestra stuff. But I need to buy it at some point. It's not bad of an album, but I do like it, but I wouldn't want to listen to it too often when I would listen to the Beatles. Worst Beatles song, Dig It, from the Let It Be album. It's gibberish. I know it's John Lennon mentioning FBI to BBC, BB King, I can't remember. But it was just less than a minute of studio nonsense. I have no idea why they put it on that album. But I just never really thought that Dig It is that interesting to me. Do you prefer thrash over hard rock? I would not pick a genre over the other, because I know that's quite cliche to say, but I like both of them because thrash metal has um, an original style of sound. Same with hard rock. Hard rock with a lot of guitar chords and bluesy-esque solos, whether it's thrash metal being more faster, aggressive, and um, just an angrier style of music. Um, but thrash over hard rock, I don't really know, because there are bands from those two genres I do like AC/DC to The Who, for example, and Led Zeppelin. But on the thrash side, like Slayer to Megadeth, Metallica, Anthrax, Evil, Havoc, and other bands. So I guess I could prefer thrash over hard rock, but I just don't really know. Do you like Ed Sheeran? I don't mind Ed Sheeran. I respect him as a musician, but he had never been my cup of tea. Do you like Harry Styles? I have not listened to Harry Styles' solo material, not because that he was in One Direction, and I remember that I don't like One Direction, but if Harry Styles wants to progress as a musician, as a solo artist, I respect him for that. But Harry Styles will never be my cup of tea, so I don't think I would listen to his stuff. Favorite Pearl Jam album? My favorite Pearl Jam album is 10. Favorite Nirvana album, In Utero, all the way. Favorite Beatles other than John Lennon? John Lennon will always be my favorite Beatle, but another favorite Beatle of mine is George Harrison, because I think, yes, Paul McCartney made a lot of albums with Wings and as a solo artist with different styles of music, but I think George Harrison is like possibly my second favorite Beatle, because I like the way that he likes to try out new things. Hence, like the Indian style of music with Ravi Shankar and all that, and he used that stuff with some of the Beatles' music and some of his solo stuff, like All Things Must Pass. I love that album. I think George, as a solo artist, as much as a Beatles member, is um is quite an intelligent musician. Well, really intelligent, I should say. Not saying that Paul and Ringo aren't. They are great musicians, but I have to stick with George Harrison over Paul McCartney and Ringo for now. But John Lennon will always stick with me. Best prog rock album ever? Easy question. To finish off this video, Pink Floyd's Wish You Were Here. Every time I listen to this album, it'll take me back to when I first listened to this album and just made my mind completely blown by how special, powerful, emotional, and beautiful this album uh, became uh, from uh, from my listening experiences of that Pink Floyd masterpiece. That is it, guys. I know this is a really long video, but I'm very glad that I did try my best to answer all these questions from what I think, and let's just hope that the next music Q&A in the future would have more interesting questions like some of these, and uh, I will be back to do another one. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I will keep you guys posted for more videos in the near future.